As of recording this video, it is currently Tuesday, May 2nd. The writer's strike is currently happening. Somebody texted me today to protest, and I forgot to respond. Do I completely stand with the writers? You 100% bet I do. Was I too lazy to leave my apartment and go to the protest? I absolutely was. But not so lazy I wouldn't make this video. So if you want to know why American writers are striking right now, it's because they took James Corden off the air! I'm kidding. There was a writer's strike back in the 2000s, almost 15 years ago, and they were pretty much striking over the exact same thing, making sure that they got paid for the work that they did, and making sure the writers weren't like the lowest people on the totem pole when it comes to like how much money they received from the work they put in. You know, like a lot of people are like, oh, you're like a TV writer, you must make a bunch of money. No. In some cases, TV writers were getting paid as if you were like a PA, but they were the ones who wrote the whole story, so you'd think, I don't know, they'd be paid a little more. And the Writers Guild of America are the people who are usually supposed to be, you know, batting for the writers. And they're the ones currently at the negotiating table with the producers, and here is what they are discussing. Writers want to be employed. They want to be employees. They want to have living wages. They want to have health insurance. They want to be considered employees of a project. They want to work full-time hours. They want to write these shows, and they just want to get paid a living wage. There are Emmy Award-winning writers who are struggling to pay rent. Isn't that wild? They'll pay an actor $30 million to show up for a couple of months and read the lines. But the people who wrote the lines, wrote the story, wrote the characters, the narrative, rewrites, edits, weeks, months, even years working on scripts. And producers want to relegate their work to, honestly, just freelance work, getting paid per project. They don't even want to pay residuals anymore. And again, for those of you who don't know, I'm assuming this YouTube audience probably isn't super familiar with how television writing works. But residuals are usually what you pay the writers and the crew members of a show while it's still syndicating on the air. It's a TV thing. You guys remember TV? Oh my god, TV. Remember TV? If something you wrote was still in syndication and continuing to air, every couple months, you got a little check in the mail. Sometimes for a bunch of money, sometimes for a little bit of money. It depends on how your show is doing. And now we're in streaming, we're in digital content era. And stuff isn't on syndication anymore, it's just kind of on the platform. People can click on it whenever they want, and there's no ads, it's a subscription service. So writers aren't getting residuals anymore, and their pay for the work they do. One of the stipulations is the Writers Guild wants there to be a minimum 6 to 12 writers per show, and all of the producers were like, no. It's like, well, how many writers do you guys want on a show? We don't want anybody to be employed by the show and to be paid like an employee. We would rather make it like the gig economy. You know, the gig economy? The thing that has ruined the economy so much. In the gig economy, you have no job security. We want to cancel shows after 1 or 2 seasons and tell you to fuck off. We're gonna pay you dirt cheap to write the content that makes us a gajillion dollars, and then we're gonna cancel the show and tell you to be on your merry way. Everything I'm talking about right now is basically just television and film and how far away it's gotten into now streaming services. And I guess the growing pains that the Writers Guild is having, and the oodles of money that producers are trying to keep from the writers because they think they can just kind of shove them away. Writers are traditionally very submissive people. Actors are very charismatic, you know, production crews, they usually stick up for themselves, but writers are like, I'm sorry, I'm just happy to be here, I'm a writer. Oh, and I hate to bring this up, guys. Oh, I don't want to bite the hand that feeds. As a content creator and as somebody who has been a writer in the digital media space, in the YouTubes, in the TikToks, in the streamies, I have the exact same problem. When I was working at Mr. Beast, I was a full-time employee, which was great. I had health insurance, I had a salary, there was a writer's room. That is the correct way to run your writer's room. Good job, Jimmy, for running your writer's room that way. But it seems like now, more and more YouTube channels just want to do it freelance, which is fine. I have been operating in a freelance capacity, and I've been able to work for a bunch of people, which is great, which is cool, and everybody I've worked with, thank you. I appreciate you. It's just my income is very, very dependent on whichever YouTube channel or whichever influencer just needs a little bit of help that week. And so I am kind of not making a lot of money. I have worked with people who have millions of subscribers, and yet it is a bit of a struggle to pay my rent every month. I even made a little short about it. I put it on TikTok and Instagram Reels. Follow me on those platforms. And in the video, I basically said, I work a lot. I pull a lot of hours, and I work with a bunch of different people in a bunch of different capacities, and yet inflation is so high, the housing market is so ridiculous, I can make all this money, and it's like I still don't have any money. All the money I make, I just have to funnel into all my living expenses, and I'm broke. I'm broke as a joke all the time. In the comment section of that video on Instagram, you would have thought I killed a puppy by saying that. People were telling me it's my fault for not knowing how to budget. People were saying it's my fault moving in New York City, where the writing work is. People said just stop eating out and don't have a PlayStation. Listen, I've been a stand-up comedian for 10 years. I've been a writer. I've worked for many, many people across many, many platforms. But if you're a writer on Succession, a show about exorbitant wealth and the people that abuse it, and everyone over there is getting paid so much money to make that show, except for the people who are writing the show, your favorite shows wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the writers who make them. And honestly, it's a microcosm of what's wrong with the entire economy in the first place. A select few people at the very, very tippy top of the totem pole, the decision makers. People who likely got up there by nepotism, just being born fucking lucky, don't really know what the fuck they're talking about and just throw money around like it's nothing. Exploiting all of the labor, all of the real work, letting the people at the bottom generate all of the wealth and then never letting them see even a fraction of it. If you had a hand in making something that made somebody else millions of dollars, you do have a right to a proportional amount of that money. Otherwise, you're just lining somebody else's pockets, and now you're the one who's struggling to pay rent. My hope is that like something happens and there's a little bit of give, and writers get the credit, the financial stability, the residuals, the compensation they deserve for the work they have done. That's all anybody wants. No one wants to get paid oodles and oodles of oodles more money than they're worth. Except the people who are causing the problem. Most people just want to make enough money to be comfortable. Is that crazy? Is that insane? Anybody who doesn't think you should make enough money in order to be comfortable doing any job. Baristas should have a living wage. Writers should have a living wage. Garbage men should have a living wage. Teachers should have a living wage. Am I crazy? Is it crazy? Sorry if this video wasn't as funny. I don't know, I just saw that a bunch of TV and film writers were protesting because they are being relegated to freelance work and can't afford to pay their rent. And me in the digital content space was like, hey, wait a minute. That's me. Don't get me wrong, I have loved all of the freelance work I have done. Look at me, I have to kiss the boot. Look at me, I have to fucking, thank you. And I think if YouTube channels can afford to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on videos and then say it's outside of the budget to then pay an employee a fraction of that budget, not all at once, over the course of a year. You know, treat them like a part of the team instead of somebody who's disposable and replaceable. That's what this strike is about. But if you want to help a struggling writer, then please subscribe to this channel. Whoa, look there in the description. It's a link to my Patreon. What? That's crazy. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you.